So now let's start modeling this, sorry, this object. So I'll press Control Spacebar to bring out my UI. I'll go to Panels, Perspective. So this is what I'll do. So first, I'll press I'll press Spacebar here. So let's make the front view big. Let's click the grid button, turn off. Now let's switch here to the modeling toolkit. So once I have clicked the modeling toolkit, I'll select the polygon selection here, click that, and then I'll switch to the move tool, or I'll press letter Q, and then I'll push this down so that it will be leveled onto one of the blocks here, or onto the floor level. Spacebar, and then this time I'll select this, spacebar, and then I'll drag it along the x-axis, the red arrow there. Now it is fitting. Then the next is I'll press spacebar. I'll select, let's say, this portion here so that it will be safe to select. I usually select at the other viewport, so I'll select here, and then spacebar. I can zoom in and drag this so that I can exact it onto, oops, there, okay, sorry for that. So I can exactly have it modeled on one block there. So the next thing is I'll be extruding. So while I have that polygon selected there, right, so I can press spacebar here. So I can press Control E. Control E, that means extrude. And with the extrude, I can just drag this onto the next block there. And then I can press Q to switch. Still having the same polygon selected, I can press Control E and then just drag it once more along. So following the block subdivisions there, and then I can press Q, Control E, so I can just alternate until I am able to follow the whole reference, and then Q, Control E, drag there, and then I can just press Q, Control E. I can still do one more surface, let's say until there. Now that I'm done, I can press Q. So the next thing that I will do, let me just Alt and oops, let me go back to my object mode, and let me just do a view rotate a little to align. The good thing about this is I can still align it a little bit while I am also modeling. So the next thing is, in spacebar, I'll go here in my perspective view. So I'm pressing Alt, left click drag most of the time just to view, and then I'll switch to my polygon selection tool, and then I can select this. So that's where that starts. Hold shift for additional selection mode, and then I'll still holding shift, I'll select this. Now I can press Control E to do an extrude. I can zoom in from here just in case, and then I can press a little panning, or sorry, a little adjustment there, and then I can click here and then drag this along there. Now I have a second block there, press Q, Control E, so I'm just alternating those shortcuts. Q, Control E, and then drag here, there, Q. Now next I'll select this, right, and then I'll just press Control E once more, angle the view a little bit, drag here, there, Q, Control E, drag here, Q, Control E, drag here, Q, Control E, there. Now I'll select this, hold Shift, select on to the other side, there, Control E, and then I'll just drag. I can zoom out a little bit so that I can see the reference. So there, I can press Control E once more. Oops, sorry. And then drag. So now I have that one. Then I can press Q. So now this is it. I have created the ground of the object. So let's say I need to save the work first. We haven't saved our work. So I'll just go to File, and then I'll choose Save Scene. And then still, I'll just paste my location. There it is. And then I will now type in the name. So let's say this is going to be my wall underscore, sorry, ISO underscore wall. This is going to be my isometric wall. Underscore, I'll put my first name there, Harold. Save, so that it's it. Next thing is, I will now create a backup for this. So the backup is going to be this one. So I will press W, and then I will hold Shift, and then I will drag onto that other side there, away from the original. So this is going to be named ISO underscore wall. Let's see, ISO underscore wall original. So that's rig. And then this one is going to be called floor. That's the floor. Then I'll save. Okay, save. Now I can also go to File, and I'll choose Save As, so that I have also an external file backup. So this is going to be ISO wall, that's the original. And then let's say this is going to be ISO wall underscore. Let's name the backups with the objects added. So let's say underscore floor. Saving the work. So now this is the file with the floor. I'll just Control H to hide that, save the work. And then what I'll do next is I'll just go to File, and I will choose Save Scene As, and I will choose the Harold. So this means I will save it as Harold. It will overwrite, yes, but that means also it is now the open file. So I don't need to go over and open it. I will just save it as the original one. Okay, next thing. What I'll do next is I will go to my polygon selection, but let me change this into solid view first. So in the solid view here, I'll just turn off the X-ray there, because now I want, or I need this. I need to create the pillars. So I'll select this. While I'm in the polygon selection, of course, press letter Q, then select that. I'll hold Shift, and I'll select the next one. I'll select the pillar behind it, and also here. Next is I'll select the last pillar here. So of course, I'll press Control E, and then I will press, I will click and drag to reach the height there. And then I'll press Q. So now that I have created the pillars. Okay, so after that, I'll save the work. And then what I'll do next is I will, of course, Control Space Bar, go back to the object level. then I'll press W. So what I'll do next is I will do another backup for this. I'll hold shift, I'll drag back there. So let me just turn this on so I can see it there. So this one's too far. Let's just place it near there. Okay, so this is going to be saved as the original. So Control S, save. So I will also go to File, Save As, and then I will name it this time ISO wall, then I will name this pillars. So this means this is the file with the pillars. So this is backing up files. So then I'll just Control H, hide that, save the work, save, and then I'll just go to File and Save Scene again, but this time as Harold. Save it, and then it is opened once more. See? Now, the next thing to do is I will create that arc or that bridging arc. So to create that bridging arc, I will need to press Q, and then I will select the multi-cut tool. Let me press spacebar here so that it will be maximizing the perspective. And then here I'll click the multi-cut tool, and then I will hold Control and Shift. And as I hold Control and Shift, I have my multi-cut tool preview. Let's zoom in a little bit. So I need to be cutting at the 50% mark. So Control allows you to do a loop cut, and Shift snaps you into position. So let's say I need a 50% position for the arcing on every pillar. So I'll click that, and then I'll hover on to the next. So again, it is showing 50%, and then I'll hover on to the next, and then that's another 50%. And then I will quickly turn off the multi-cut tool because it is going to be cutting always as long as it is turned on. And then I'll go back to my polygon selection here. I will select the opposite facing polygons. After I have done that, I will click bridge, and that's how you make those would-be arcs. Then I'll switch to Q. I'll do the same here on this side. Do the same here on this side, holding shift. There, I have two selected. Do another bridge, press Q. Now we have those. Okay, so the next thing to do now is create the arc. So as per the reference there, so we need to make an arc. So this is what I'll do as I zoom in here, right? So what I'll do is this. I will use the multi-cut tool again, cut at the center of this bridge. So I'll just, again at the center, so this means I'll cut at the 50% mark. So here's the 50, click that. I'll go to the other side, do another 50% mark cut, and then there it is. I'll turn off the multi-cut tool. After I turned off the multi-cut tool, zooming out, I will now select those new cuts that I have created. So I can go to the vertex selection, or quicker, you can go to the edge selection, and then just select that edge there, hold shift, select the other edge here, and then press W. You can now drag it going up, and as you can see, you can drag it up to that highest peak of the arc. Now if you are at the highest point of the arc here, as you can see in your reference, there it is. Just position it there accordingly. So the next thing that I will do now is to be able to create those arcs, I will be needing or I will be needing to add more cuts here, because the cuts creates edges and vertices. So I'll switch back to the multi-cut tool, hold control, do another 50% vertical cut here. So it's going to be a 50% vertical cut here. I'll do another 50% vertical cut here. And then on the other side, I'll do another 50% vertical cut. And I'll do another 50% vertical cut. And there you go. Switching quickly, turning off the multi-cut tool, switching to the edge selection. I'll select this once more, hold shift, select the other edge once more. Oops. And then I'll go to the other side, holding shift, selecting those new edges that I've selected or created, and then I'll just use W for move tool, and then again I will just drag them, control space bar, so I can see here, bigger, there. I'll just be dragging them up a little bit more so that the arc could be followed. Space bar. So now I have a low poly arc there for my reference. There. W. So now, control space. I will now start my backing up. I'll save my work. And then also, I would like to bring this out. So from here, I will just hold shift and I'll drag them there. So this is going to be named, this one, oh, I forgot to name this. This is going to be with pillar. And then this one is going to be named with arc. Okay, saving work. And then I will hide them. Control S to hide, or Control H to hide. And then I'll select this. I'll go to File. I'll choose Save Scene As. So this is going to be arcs. So that's how you do backups. And then I'll just go to File, Save As once more. And I'll choose the wall Harold. Yes, overwrite that. Now it's open once more. So that's how you create your base. So this is just the base mesh model. I'll see you in the next lesson.